Dinosaurs for Hire is a side-scrolling run-and-gun game, much like Contra. Really, this is like Contra with dinosaurs for the Sega Genesis. And it's fantastic. It's one of the most underrated games for the Genesis. It's like as underrated, well, okay, not as underrated, but it's almost as underrated as The Adventures of Batman and Robin for the Sega Genesis, which is just like, I'd say my favorite Genesis game of all time, or you know, in the top 3 of my favorite Sega Genesis games. I don't know if this would be in the top 3 of my favorite Sega Genesis games, but this is definitely one of the most memorable games from my childhood. You're basically this badass dinosaur, either with an eye patch or like a Hawaiian shirt or just like a leather jacket, and you're just plowing through these beautiful levels, fighting all sorts of different enemies. You're climbing up ladders. I mean, I always thought if I were to be attacked by a horde of dinosaurs, I felt like ladders would be my way to escape. Like, I wouldn't think a T-Rex would climb a ladder after me. I would imagine I'd just jump on the ladder, climb up, and the T-Rex would just be standing under me, looking up and just drooling, thinking about how tasty I am. But apparently dinosaurs can climb ladders. There is no safe place to go if there's a dinosaur after you, especially if the dinosaur has an automatic rifle. I mean, I don't know what's more badass than a dinosaur with a leather jacket and sunglasses and a gun, just running around shooting ninjas and robots and just other gigantic dinosaurs. You can tell a lot of work went into this game. I mean, the levels are really beautiful. This was made by real professionals. And the controls are really smooth too. You can shoot in all sorts of different directions, although there's one way you can't shoot, which I would have loved to be able to shoot, is straight down. Unfortunately, in this game, you can only shoot down left or down right, not directly down. And this oftentimes makes the combat frustrating when enemies are directly below you and you just can't seem to line yourself up with them. Everything else about this shooting game is just fantastic. I mean, there's a whole ton of enemies coming at you, and you can obviously take a lot of damage because you're a gigantic dinosaur. You can't really shoot enemies when they're really close to you, though. This is when you use your melee attacks. And the dinosaurs have different melee attacks. One of the dinosaurs just hits the enemies with the butt of his gun, and my favorite one is the big dinosaur. He just swipes his tail and basically just obliterates anything that's near him. Like, he can have 10 ninjas right on him. He swipes his tail and they're all dead. It's like, sorry guys, I know you've spent 20 years of your life training to be unstoppable assassins, but I'm a fucking dinosaur. This game is totally tongue-in-cheek. I mean, it's making fun of itself. It knows how ridiculous it is to have a dinosaur with an eye patch running around a subway system in, like, New York or something. And at the same time, it takes its controls and gameplay really seriously. I think it's a great mix for a really fun run-and-gun game like this. This game is also apparently based on the comic book with the same name, and I had no idea about that. I mean, I picked this game up at a pawn shop in my neighborhood, and I was hooked, but I wasn't hooked because these are characters from a comic book I read. I had no idea such a thing existed. I was just hooked because I like the characters in the game itself, and of course, the gameplay. There's just a lot of content in this game, and because the action is non-stop, you will have a ton of fun here. Dinosaurs for Hire is just one of the best Genesis games out there. I absolutely recommend trying it. It gets an official stanburdman rating of an 8.8 out of 10. Thanks for watching. Goodbye, my friends.